But when you're sitting in front, when you've got clients and you got clients behind you and clients in front of you, you don't want to be, you want to know what you're doing.
Mm-hmm.
Definitely try something new, or go to your base, your go-to first, knock it out the park with your go-to, and then go,
Yeah.
hey, let's try this. And wow, you might get something better. And that's
Yeah.
very much the difference between being a commercial photographer and being a fine art photographer. I'm constantly having to make people, clients happy.
Hi,
So,
Mark. How are you?
hello, how are you? Where are you?
I'm in Michigan.
You
And
are?
yeah, feel
Is there any, you guys got any snow?
oh yeah, it feels like the Arctic tundra. I actually live on a lake and the whole lake is just covered. There's like ice for fishermen out there right now and people ice skating and it's cold.
Wow, we're in New York, and we had like a crazy storm this week, like 20 inches in a day. It's
20.
been a lot of fun. Yeah, I mean for New York, it's a big storm, and
Yeah, it's a
it
big
was fun.
storm.
I took my 6-year-old out sledding, and my legs are still, crying because he kind of realized that
Oh, yeah.
if I went on the sled with him, we tended to go a lot faster. So I didn't get to stand up at the top of the hill with the other parents and watch them go up and down. I was actually doing the up and down, but I'm recovering slowly.
Yeah, it's a good workout. It's a like, yeah, you're like sweating by the end and it's 10 degrees out. Yeah. So fun. So you haven't always lived in New York though, because obviously you have a Scottish accent.
Yeah, I grew up in Glasgow, Scotland. I was there for the first 17 years of my life, and then I was, back periodically for a little while. And this year is my 25th year in New York City.
Wow. Wow. Now, what brought you to New York? I have a feeling you're going to say photography, but I could be wrong.
No, it wasn't. Well, it was and it wasn't. I was running away from a torrid love affair, and decided that like the UK as a country was not far enough away to mend my broken heart.
Oh,
So I had to change country. No,
hey, you know?
I was. There's a whole lot of things that kind of happened in unison, but that's a big part of it. And I had a good friend that was living in New York, and I was just moping around, depressed for all sorts of for this reason. And he said, "Why don't you come out and visit?" So
Yeah.
I packed my bags for 2 weeks, and I came home the first time 3 years later.
Wow.
So,
Wow. Yeah. It's a long
so
vacation.
yeah, there was a whole load of things happening. I mean, it was like I went to Manchester Polytechnic to study photography. It was a pretty renowned course for photography, and you came out of it and I was like, yeah, I can take a photo, but I have no idea what to do with these photos. How do I sell them? What do I do now? And so many of my buddies had not the photography buddies, but so many of my buddies that were in college at the same time kind of got jobs in London, right? So I couldn't go to London to live. I had no money. I mean, I had nowhere to live. I was like, what do I do now? I'm a photographer. So I went home to Glasgow for a while and, had this very studenty portfolio and started like shipping it around these, the agencies in Scotland, the ad agencies, the design firms. And I found that it was actually quite easy to get work, but the work I was getting was like furniture catalogs. Oh, I love your
Ah.
portraits, Mark. We've got 3 sofas we need photographed by next Tuesday. Can you do it? And yeah, it's money. Somebody's paying me, and I did it. And
Yeah,
then all of a
totally.
sudden, I'm kind of making a living as a furniture photographer. I mean, I'm 21 or 22, um, or something like that. And I was starting to, still living with my mom and dad. I thought I got to get my own place, and should I rent a place? No, I think I should buy a place. And then my head just went crazy. It was like, wow, this is not why I wanted to be a photographer.
Mm,
And
mm-hmm.
that kind of happened at the same time as having my heart destroyed into 3 billion pieces. And this New York opportunity just seemed great. And then I got to New York and it was, okay, so this is where I can try and do what I want to do.
Yeah. I mean, like now for people watching or listening who don't know your work, I mean, you have photographed, I mean, Obama, Clinton, Dr. Dre, like my son's name's Dre, so I always Dr.
Oh,
But yeah, I mean, you have photographed some like celebrities and politicians, and I mean,
yeah.
that's like your thing now. And I can't imagine that happened overnight.
No, it certainly hasn't. And I feel so fortunate to have done it.
Yeah.
It's not, I think as a freelancer, you know, I have this discussion with my wife sometimes about, trying to mix art with commerce. So am I an artist? I don't really know. I'm a guy taking photos, trying to make a living. And then I think as a freelancer, you're like, okay, I did that job. It's great. I'm going to get paid. But what
Yeah.
am I doing next? So
Yeah.
over the last couple of decades, I've never really taken much time to kind of look over my shoulder to see what I've done. It's just there. What's
Yeah.
next? What's next?
Totally.
What's next?
Totally.
So, yeah. So, the 25-year anniversary thing, and I suppose a lot of people being more interested in this body of work has kind of forced me to look back. And it very occasionally I'll kind of go, oh, not bad. Okay.
Yeah.
But my drive is always forward, forward, forward.
Yeah.
So yeah, it doesn't happen overnight. I don't think anything does that's worthwhile.
I mean, it's so interesting to hear you just say that, Mark, that you don't often look back and kind of like think, wow, and give yourself some credit. And this, when I'm just thinking about like personally with myself, I don't think I ever do that. I don't think I ever do that either. What an interesting thing to think about, to sit, to really just take some time and look at what you've accomplished.
You've
Yeah.
you, listen, it's really weird for me, and I think it always will be weird. Well, I talk to somebody or I meet somebody, and you know, what do you do? I'm a photographer. So
Yeah. Yeah.
that's the
Just
thing.
one of the, photographed
Yeah.
to some of the most influential people in the
Well, but
world.
this
No,
is
no
the thing,
biggie.
right? It's just like it's a very hard thing to say because first of all, I don't feel it as that person. Oh, I'm not that person, right? And I
Yeah.
think
Yeah.
not being that person has given me the ability to do what I do. So I'm very determined not to be that person. And then I get so embarrassed when somebody goes, "Oh, I know your work." Oh God, do you?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
and I relish that and I enjoy it, and it's part of me. And I think if I ever do the sit back thing and kick your heels up and go, yeah, then it's
Yeah.
time to quit. Do
Yeah.
something
Yeah.
different. I'm still just like constantly striving forward to stop
Mm-hmm.
me having to drive an Uber.
Yeah. Yeah.
Just,
Yeah,
that's
totally. There are a lot of people in our education platform on Sue Bryce Education where they are trying to transition from one career into another. And when it comes time that they are actually starting to make money as a photographer, people will share that they have a hard time saying like, I'm a photographer and owning it and actually saying it. I was a social worker before I was a photographer. And I remember it took me a while when people said, what do you do? It's like, oh, I'm a photographer, to be able to like confidently say that. So it's funny to hear you saying it where, this has been your life's work. And it's still sometimes you're like, I'm a photographer. Like, it's just funny, like everyone goes through it, I guess.
I think so. Listen, don't get me wrong. I'm super happy to own it and be it, and obviously there's a part of me that loves the fact that maybe I've done a couple of pictures in my time that are relevant. I mean, of course that
Mhm.
that keeps me going forward. But it's strange. It's just and nothing nothing really much changes. I suppose oh, if I could get a $5,000 job, man. Oh, if I
Yeah.
could get a $10,000 job, wow. Oh,
Yeah.
if I could get three of these $50,000 jobs a year, and then that all happens and nothing changes. My savings doesn't get any bigger. You know, my kid doesn't stop me. So nothing, the worries and, you know, absolute fear of being a creative freelancer for me never changes.
So how did you start? Like, okay, so you were doing the furniture photography,
Oh, you
which,
gotta go back.
yeah,
You gotta
like,
go back.
did you go to school to become a photographer?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Well,
take us
well,
back.
I'm going to take you back to high school. I was I was a reasonable student. I had no interest in academics, but I could kind of get by. But the one thing that I absolutely loved was art and design,
Mm,
and we the high school I was in had a great art department, and there's two or three teachers there. One sadly passed away, but two or three teachers, and one I'll mention, Mr. Marshall. Was such an incredible human being and a teacher.
yeah.
And I wanted to do art. I wanted to do like clay modeling, and this is what I really wanted to do. But once again, how do you make a living doing painting? You know, how
Mm-hmm.
does that happen? There's no education for that in any way, shape, or form. So he really encouraged me to do this, and we made these beautiful sculptures. And then I kind of got in the idea of my head that art school was an option instead of, I don't know, law school, medical school, but art
Mm-hmm.
school. And my parents were very, very supportive. So I basically was going to visit some friends at the Edinburgh Festival one year, and I'm like this cocky 16-year-old, you know, get on the train. It's pretty quiet, and there's this most gorgeous woman I've ever seen with ringlet hair, looking really bohemian. She's sitting by herself in a four seat, and she's got her kind of sketch pad out. And I'm just going to go talk to her. So I sit down, I go, hi. And we start talking. She tells me she's studying photography at Manchester Polytechnic.
Mm.
And at that moment, I decided to study photography at Manchester Polytechnic.
Wow.
So, that's true. And then the other part that really kind of brought it all together was I came back to school the next week, and I said to Mr. Marshall, I said, "Do we have a dark room? Do we have photography here?" He goes, "Yeah. You want to see?" I was like, "Yeah." So he takes me into this dark room, and we have no negatives, but the chemicals are set up and the enlargers set
Mm-hmm.
up, and we do this kind of Man Ray thing. I put my glasses down, and I think he has his car keys, and we put something else down on a piece of photo paper, and we turn the enlarger on, and it lights up, and then we put it in the developer, and then just watching that develop was
Yeah.
alchemy. I mean, it was mind blowing.
Yeah.
Oh, so the first project we did was he said, well, you know, if you're going to apply to art school, you've got all these big clay things. You're not going to take them to interviews. We got to photograph them. And he basically showed me how to do that. I got a little camera, and my dad had like a Canon point and shoot or something. It's all film.
Yep.
I showed me how to do that, develop my own film, and make these pictures. And at that point, really, then not only did I know I was going to study photography at Manchester Polytechnic, but I wanted to be a photographer.
Mm.
And you know, I got to college, took a year out, but got a deferred place at college. And the young lady I'm talking about is still a very good friend of mine. There was no romantic interlude, however, but we have remained friends. So
That's
that
so
was
cool.
where the interest came.
Yeah.
And I just feel very, very fortunate set of things that all happened.
Now, did you learn a lot about like how to run a business in photography school, or was it more just the creative part of it?
Honestly, now I don't want anybody to come back and tell me, hey, we did. But in my memory, we had not one single class
Yeah.
on what to do when you
Yeah.
left school as a photographer. Not one, nothing,
Yeah.
absolutely
That's pretty
nothing.
common that I hear people say. I have some friends who went through photography school. They're not photographers because they had no idea how to run a business,
Right. And
you know?
I think a big part of the problem is to be honest, would I have been interested if somebody wanted to try and teach me how to run a business? So, that's the
True.
other side of it. And
True.
you learn pretty fast.
Yeah.
Need
Yeah.
money, pay bills, must make photos. I and to be horribly and brutally honest, I'm still crap at business. I'm awful. Somebody calls me up and says, "Hey, Mark, do you want to do a portrait of so and so?" I'm so honored to be asked to take a picture. It's like, but wait, I need to get paid, right? So I'm still at that
Yeah.
place,
Yeah.
and thankfully, I have some great people on my side that look after me in
Yeah.
that way. I mean, I'm just about to do a job. I'm just about to do something for my son's school, and it's a bit of a mammoth production they want me to do, especially with COVID and everything
Yeah.
going on, and it's going to take me some time. And and I'm so happy they asked, and I agreed to do it. And I said to one of my business partners, "So is there anything we can do around this to make a video or something?" And he goes, "Yeah, the video is how you're an idiot and just agreed to work for free for 5 days. That's the video." So I think I'm still always in that position. I like it, or else I would change it.
Yeah. Yeah. That makes sense. Now out of school, did you just start getting gigs right away, or did you assist? Did you like, how did you like, what did you do next, I guess?
Let's say that the furniture catalogs were what they were, and let's just like move to New York or move for 2 weeks to New York and stay 3 years and got legal and everything. But let's like, I think we could start from New York. So you get to New York, it's like, hey, I'm a photographer. Started
Yeah.
showing my book around. Um, Basically, it was like you sat with a yellow pages or a phone book, and then
Yeah.
the internet was very. I mean, I'm showing my age here, but you couldn't just search on the internet.
Oh yeah. I'm
So
43. I feel you. Like we didn't have internet until I was in college. I mean, yeah.
I think I could be your dad almost if I was eight.
No, you're not that much older.
If I was eight when I had you, I could have been.
Wait, if you were 8, so you're only 8 years older than me, right?
That's what
What
I'm
you just said?
saying. Yeah.
Yeah. I was gonna say you are not that much older than me.
Awesome. But anyway, so going through the yellow pages, like advertising agency, John Smith. Hi, my name's Mark Mann. I'm a photographer from Scotland. Can I come show you my work? And that's what I did. All of the magazines
I love
started
this.
going to see people.
Yeah.
Got a couple of very early gigs with Time Out New York. They started to give me work, and then I can go into all the business problems. I mean, I didn't have a bank account,
Yeah.
I couldn't
Yeah.
get a bank account because anyway, so that all happened. And bizarrely enough, I met with, on one of my shoots, there was an agent there that was in the studio for somebody else. And somebody introduced me to her, and she loved my work and she loved my attitude. She said, "Are you represented?" I'm like, "Am I what? Do you have an agent?" "No." "Do you want
Yeah.
one?" I don't know. Anyway, cut long story short, she said that she was interested in kind of representing me as a junior photographer in the agency. I was like, great. Gave her my portfolio. And the first job she got me was for Entertainment Weekly. And it was a gig in
Wow.
Los Angeles. Lovely. I can't remember who it was. I can't remember the actor's name. But anyway, did the job. This is the best bit. Put all my stuff, my camera, my my little bag of clothes, which was all the clothes I kind of own because I so anyway, put it in the back of the rental car. Was going to drive back to the airport, and somebody had told me about a friend of a friend who lived in LA. I should have lunch with them. Had lunch with them. Got back to my car. My rental car had been broken into,
Oh,
camera stolen, portfolio stolen.
oh
The
my
only thing I had left
God.
was my passport and my plane ticket, my wallet. Get back to New York, and my agent says, how did it go? I said, "I was great. And there's a film." She says, "We need your portfolio back because we got to send it." Cut long, and you couldn't just make a new portfolio. They were all
No.
C41 prints. My negatives
Right.
were all in Scotland. So sorry, Mark, come back and see us when you get your act together. So that happened. And then I kind of realized that I could make money as a photo assistant.
Mm.
And I did that for a good few years. Always still trying to make my own pictures, but you talk about headspace of being something to a photographer. The
Yeah.
headspace of being a photo assistant to being a photographer is tough. But thinking you're a
Yeah.
photographer, then going back to photo assistant. So I
Yeah.
did
Yeah.
that, and I learned so much. It was the best education and the best fun I think I've ever had. You
Yeah.
know, I was working for guys like Miles Aldridge, and it was just such an education in
I
so
believe
many
it.
ways.
There's two things that you said. Well, there's a lot of that you just said that is really cool. But there's something you said at the beginning about how you literally just got the phone book and started calling people. And I love that you said that because I think sometimes people get their portfolio built and they like have all the stuff and the website and everything. And they're like, well, why am I not booking anyone? And it's like, you have to put yourself out there. You have to make the moves. Otherwise, people are not just going to come knocking on your door.
No, never, never, ever, ever. And even today, I have a wonderful agent that looks after me, and she's fabulous, and I adore her. But people kind of have this thing: you get an agent and you're set. That's
Yeah, yeah.
nonsense. You get an agent and you have to do twice as much. It's just as you say, you have to continually find ways to put yourself out there.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I'm so thankful for social media, for Instagram.
Oh,
Um,
yeah.
it- Total game changer for me.
Yeah.
Um, and as one of the things that I think we really miss in today's photography world is, there was such a plethora of magazines
Mm-hmm.
that, there was
Mm-hmm.
health and fitness for under 12s. There was just like
Mm-hmm.
so many magazines, and everybody was shooting, and there was little budgets for everybody. And I got such an opportunity when I started to photograph for all these little publications that you could build up a portfolio, you'd have enough money to eat and live.
Mm-hmm.
And that's kind of gone. And I
Yeah.
really miss that. But I think what Instagram has done is just, you know, it's like if you're good with your Instagram, and I'm not particularly good with mine, I could be better. But, you follow people, you comment on their stuff. As a creative director, you like,
Mm-hmm.
follow them, make a few
Yep.
smart comments, say something interesting to them. They
Yep.
hear
Then they're
you,
going to
they
come to
follow
your
you back.
page and yep, that's how it
Yeah.
works. Yep.
So, yeah, that's how it works. And it's, I should do more of it. Um, I, but that's how it works. And
Mm-hmm.
that's
Mm-hmm.
been an incredible tool for us, or
Yeah.
for me as a photographer.
You know what else you said that I really love is, when obviously like that sucks to have your portfolio stolen, get broken into, but instead of just like quitting, you were like, all right, well, what's my next step? And sometimes we have to do things that and swallow our pride a little bit, like going, I hate to use the word backwards because it's really not going backwards, but taking a position down from what your skills are, from the
Yeah,
skills you have to be an assistant. But sometimes we just have to do what we have to do in that moment, even if it's not the shiniest, sexiest thing in order to move
absolutely.
forward.
Absolutely. And
Yeah.
it's still very relevant. You've got it. And in today's world of photography, you have to be nimble. You have
Yeah.
to be able to move quickly. You have to be able to reset super quick.
Mm-hmm.
And in all honesty, you're going to have to do some stuff you don't want to do.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
one of the things that has been advantageous to me is like not viewing myself as the artist. Um, what I love about working as a photographer is the teams.
Yeah.
So even if I am shooting corporate headshots of blah, blah, boring old white men corporation, and there is nothing interesting about these people, I get to work with a great hair and makeup artist.
Yes,
I
totally.
have a great assistant there, and it's just that's the fun, and having that fun within the job, even though what you're producing you never want to see again ever. what you're producing might not be what you want to produce, but you're having a good time and you're at work and you're being paid.
Yeah,
So
absolutely.
any day that I'm making photographs and somebody's paying me for it is the best day in the world.
Yeah, absolutely. If someone wanted to kind of get to where you're at, photographing celebrities or politicians or just, for magazines, what would you tell them to do? I mean, what would be kind of their steps to take, I guess? I don't even know if that's really, I mean, it's kind of a loaded question because you could.
No, it's not. It's a great question, and my answer is that unfortunately the routes that the way that I did it is not really so available anymore.
Mm,
Number one, because of social media, because if you're a celebrity and you can get your buddy John to take a couple of snaps on Instagram to feed your fans, and People Magazine's going to pick it up, why would you do this whole thing with People Magazine? Sorry, People, I
yeah.
love you. I love you, People Magazine. So it's different, and I think now you really, really have to be trying to create something more interesting because you've got to get people's attention.
Yeah.
There's lots of ways to do that. Is for a lot of very young photographers starting out, and they go, "Oh man, I'd love to photograph Alice Cooper," and I go, "Well, you know what? That was not. I mean, it was a brilliant day and a brilliant photo, but that's not what you should be on. What you should be on right now is who do you have access to? Who do you have that will play, that you can say, that friend of yours that's crazy, that's in the band with the spiky hair, go photograph them. Hang out with the band for a day, you know,
Yeah.
go to the gig, do some behind scene stuff, do some portraits, practice your skill at making portraits. And the best way to practice is with people you have access to. And for a lot of people, that's their family. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
there's been some amazing, I have to name names of fine art photographers that have never photographed anyone apart from their wives or their kids. That's
Mm-hmm.
who they have access to. That's who they're comfortable with to make these pictures. And if you've not got this big outgoing personality or be able to turn that on, practice with somebody that's not going to care about what the pictures look like.
Right.
Just be,
Yes.
practice being part of the team, being part of something bigger than just you as a photographer. And I know that's kind of like a high level, but I think it's so relevant today. Um, and then when you make good photos, and if you start making good photos of people that trust you, then you learn how to talk to them. You learn how to ask your crazy uncle to do that face to get that photo. That goes forward in your portrait work, and then somebody will see that and go, that's a great portrait, maybe they could do that of so and so.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
think I think that's how to do it.
I mean, yeah, you're right. It really is. It's bringing it back to the basics. I mean, if you don't have a strong portfolio and if you don't have that practice in that time in, how are you going to do anything? I mean, why would anyone want to book you if you don't have a strong portfolio? I remember when I was first starting, I was shooting like neighbors, coworkers, anyone who I could get in front of my camera just so I could build and get better. And yeah. Now, okay, you've talked a couple times about having an agent. Wait, were you going to say something there? Go ahead. If
Yeah,
you're.
I was just going to say one little thing, which I think is really important, is that, a super quick analogy. I was photographing Joshua Bell, the
Mm,
violinist, and we went over to his house to make the photographs, and he was sitting, on set. We were doing our lighting. We were lighting around the area, and he was playing. And I said something, and I don't mean it to sound dickish, and I think it does, and it wasn't dickish. I said, I'm so grateful you're playing for us. We're loving it. He goes, well, I'm not playing for you. I'm practicing. And I said, you still practice? 4 or 5 hours a day. So this is from the
Wow.
greatest, one of the greatest, I mean, top 10, whatever, everyone has opinions, but of
Right,
one
right.
of the world's great violinists. And in order for him to maintain that, he practices and learns every day. So if you're
See?
not
Yeah.
doing that as a photographer, you're not getting any better.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's just it. So practice, practice, practice.
That is such a good point. I mean, if you think about all athletes, I mean, think about Olympic athletes. And I know you photographed was it who was it? The swimmer. Oh God, what's his name? I'm drawing a blank. Phelps?
Uh, yeah, yeah, I've
Mike?
photographed a
Ryan?
few swimmers.
Oh
Um,
God. What's his name? Phelps. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
15 gold medals. And because you
Yeah.
said it's gone out of your head, it's completely Ryan Phillips. No,
No, Phelps.
Phillips.
It's right here.
Phelps.
I've got it
Michael
on your
Phelps.
Phelps. Michael Phelps.
Sorry,
Oh
Michael
my
Phelps.
gosh. Sorry,
Sorry.
Olympiads.
Sorry.
No, but like you said, yeah, it's right here. I can see it. Your work, oh gosh, your work is so good. It's so good, Mark. Like you just really bring their whole like face into it. And I know that probably sounds really stupid because it's a portrait. Of course, the face
No,
is going to be
that's what
into
it's
it.
about.
But it's like, oh, it's just like the expression and just the detail is so just captivating, you know?
Thank
Anyways, when I
you.
was scrolling through your work and I stopped on Michael Phelps, because you just like bring him to life or something. I don't even know how to, but yeah, it's really cool. But anyways,
He
back to
was
your
hard.
point.
He was hard work though. He not in a
Really?
bad way. He's a charming, lovely man, but he doesn't give a lot.
Yeah, yeah. Well, but
Always
that's how it
work
is
to
with
get
all
something out
like
of him.
some clients.
I'm sorry.
No, that's okay. Let's be real. Like,
Athletes,
yeah, yeah.
athletes.
Some clients are like way easier when it comes to like getting that expression than others to photograph. That's just how it is. And obviously that translate whether or not they're like
Totally.
an Olympic athlete or a celebrity or just Susie down the street.
I think athletes are sometimes the hardest because an athlete is like, if you're an athlete or you're on a basketball team or whatever, every week you're getting your press and your media. You
Yeah.
know, if you have a good game,
Yeah.
everybody's talking about you. So the idea that you have to do a photo shoot to publicize something,
Right. Right.
I don't want to be here. Whereas I feel a lot of actors and, understand that, yeah, I got a new movie coming out. Nobody's heard about me for the last year or so. I got to do the press, and they're more willing. Athletes, for me, have always been kind of the toughest.
Yeah. Yeah. That makes sense for sure. But like you said, I mean, there is such a level of continuing to master your craft for athletes, for photographers, for musicians. I mean, it's not something that you just ever stop doing if you want to continue to grow and learn. And
Yeah.
we have like awards and accreditation through Portrait Masters, and sometimes people will be really bummed out by their score or want to know, kind of get kind of upset. And it's like, listen, this is an opportunity to learn. Like, okay, let's see, where did I go wrong here? Why is my score not higher? Why, it's such an opportunity to learn and grow as opposed to like having your feelings hurt. Like, yeah, it sucks if you don't get the score you want, but it just goes back to always needing to practice and to improve and to master that craft.
100%. Couldn't agree with you more. It's practice. It's practice. And that's
Yeah.
what's been so crazy over the last, over the pandemic, that I feel out of practice. I did some portraits last week, or these portraits maybe like 10 days ago. I have been working, but I did some portraits and I'm like, whoa, I'm a little off my game here. I'm not quite, so yeah. So even when I stopped doing what I do for like 10 months,
Yeah.
although I've improved in many other aspects of my life and craft, but actual sitting taking portraits, I'm like, oh.
Yeah. Yeah.
So yeah, practice.
Hey, Mark, how do you light your models or your
I,
subjects?
I think lighting is this big kind of mystery in photography
Yeah.
or
Yeah.
lighting. And obviously there's good lighting and there's bad lighting, but I think genuinely, to me, it's really simple. Um, and here's something that I highly recommend anybody from me who still does it to this day, to anybody who wants to make a portrait. Here's a really simple thing that one of my college professors set as a project once to us, and it's really stayed with me. Go into a hardware store, or if you have one at home, you know these like very inexpensive metal reflectors that sometimes come with a bulb, and
Yep. Yep.
it's a metal reflector with a bulb. It's a lot easier now because you can use an LED bulb and don't burn your fingers. So LED bulb and a cable. Go into your bathroom, close the door, hopefully, or wait till it's dark. If your bathroom's dark, great. If not, wait till it's dark, close the door, plug it in, and look in the mirror and start holding this in
Huh.
different
Yeah.
places, right? What does a light do if it shines from here? Ah, okay, I see. Now I'm shining a light from here. If I look into the light, what happens? If I look away from it, oh, that's kind of cool. What happens if I put it here? What does the light do if it shines here?
Yeah.
So, and this is such a great exercise because
So smart.
because you know your own face the best, right? So it's like, oh God, if I've got these weird lips, and if I put this light here, it accentuates that. Don't want to do that. So next time you're photographing somebody and you see them and you go, wow, they've got weird lips. Go, oh, I don't want to put that light there. I was going to say big nose, but I thought weird lips was better. Or wow, they've got bags under their eyes, man.
Yeah, that's a
I've
big
got
one.
bags. If I do that and put the light
Smart.
here, these bags are really going to get accentuated. Oh, but if I bring the light down a bit, I can start. So this is such a great practice. Don't have a camera. Don't do the camera. Just look. And then, I found this an incredible education. And as I say, a few weeks ago, when I was really struggling with light on somebody that I shouldn't have been, I was like, I got to get back into the bathroom with my little light and start remembering
Yeah.
these things. So that's a really good hint. And the next thing I would say is start with one light. We have one
Mm-hmm.
light here today. Start with one light. And if that's not working, think about what you would want to do with another light. Okay, so I'm looking right here and I'm sorry, look at the camera. What do I want to change? This is a little dark. Maybe I want to put a fill light here, or maybe I can use a piece of cardboard or something. So start thinking. It's experiment and it's practice. Keep it
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
simple. The other thing I'm going to say, which I always say, is don't think that better or more expensive equipment is going to give you better photographs, because
Yeah.
it's not.
Yeah.
So use what you have, or use or buy what you can afford, and it's not going to make any difference where you're at if you're starting out. Um, I very much have the luxury of using Leica cameras, but
Yeah.
if I didn't have a Leica camera, I think I could still do my job. So
Sure. Sure.
I mean, there's aspirational. Oh my God, I really want to buy this lens. Okay, so set yourself a target. I'm going to get 20 jobs. I'm going to put $100 away from each job, and then I'm going to buy that lens.
Yeah. Yeah.
But don't put yourself in debt to buy the lens when you don't have work to pay for it.
Exactly. Exactly. I think people get the idea that they need the big fancy studios and cameras and
Hmm.
wardrobe and all, and you don't. Like, that's one thing we really try to do with on SBE, is like bringing it back to basics. Exactly what you just said.
Yeah, I mean, I photographed so many people in weird places. One of my favorite portraits, a portrait of Willie Nelson, and
Oh, Willie.
I don't know
So
what
awesome.
what the rating was this, but we photographed him on his tour bus, which is about 5 feet wide, and he wouldn't move. He's just sitting where he always sits. He goes, "Can you set up here?" I'm like, "Yeah." The thing,
I'll
and
make it work.
there was so much weed smoke across the back.
Oh man.
Can I see you? Is that you there? So simple setup, you know, whatever, and it's one of
Yeah.
my favorite portraits. So
Yeah.
it's the big studios. Big studios make me nervous. What am I going to
Yeah.
do?
Yeah.
Uh,
Yeah. Yeah.
but yeah, it's not about the gear. It's about you It's about you as a photographer making decisions quickly.
Mm,
And the other thing I would say, which is kind of, I think is an important one, is if your plan is not working, so, okay, I'm going to photograph Nikki today, and this is what I want to do with the light, and this, and this, and this, and this. I set it up, and Nikki comes in, and I take a few frames, and I go, "Ooh, this is not looking how I wanted it to look."
yeah.
Don't fight it. Go, okay, let's do something different. Go to your go-to light for, for like beautiful portrait of a woman. You know that
Mm-hmm,
you've got
mm-hmm.
that light. If you don't have that light, get it.
Yeah.
Find that light and then
Yeah.
go there and then start there. Because as soon as the person you're with starts seeing your struggle, it's over.
Yes.
You know,
Yes.
they've
Totally.
lost confidence in you. So be very quick to say, yeah, this doesn't look how I want it to look. Let's move on. Let's try a different thing. And then
Yeah.
whoever you're photographing is going to be, oh, this guy knows what he's doing. Oh,
Yeah.
great.
Absolutely. And that goes back to what you were saying about practicing. Like if you can have certain poses and light that you know is going to look good with everyone, then you nail those down. Then you can have the fun with getting extra creative and
Right.
that sort of thing. I've
Yeah.
been in that position before, like you said, with clients where I, want to try something or whatever, and it's not working out, and I would just like take the shot and be like, all right,
Move
and
on.
thank God I had like my go-tos to go back to because
Yeah.
it saves the
And
day.
that's what I'm saying about practicing on the people you have access to.
Yeah.
Because, Uncle Johnny is going to be delighted to sit there for an hour,
Mm-hmm.
and let you make all the mistakes you want. But when you're sitting in front, when you've got clients and you got clients behind you and clients in front of you, you don't want to be, you want to know what you're doing.
Mm-hmm.
Definitely try something new, or go to your base, your go-to first, knock it out the park with your go-to, and then go,
Yeah.
hey, let's try this. And wow, you might get something better. And that's
Yeah.
very much the difference between being a commercial photographer and being a fine art photographer. I'm constantly having to make people, clients happy.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
very rarely get the, I obviously take photos of my kids and my wife and family and whatever for fun, but um, it's very rare that I get to be like as creative as I'd like to be on set with
Yeah.
like four publicists breathing down my neck.
Do they okay, so is it pretty common or typical for like celebrities or just someone with the spotlight on their life where you have to be quick, like they expect this to be done quick, like
Yeah,
there's not a whole yeah, so I was
yeah. And
thinking.
listen, every job varies drastically, but sometimes let's say I'm doing, let's say that somebody's come to me and says, "Hey, so and so doesn't want to do any PR shots next year. We need a folio of shots. Um, can you do 12 looks in a day for us?" And so I know I'm
Right.
going to be with that person for the day. All right, so that's one thing. The next thing is, if you're doing some kind of fashion, which I don't do, but like fashion portraiture, and they
Mm-hmm.
know they've got 5 looks, they know they're going to be there for a while. But Mark Mann style is most like, how long do you need? I'd love
Yeah.
an hour. How about 4 minutes? Okay. So it can be anything to anything. And
Yeah.
that's, as I say, when you've just got to be, very, very confident on what you're doing. Oh, and the other thing is, even if you take a shot and it looks like crap, don't say it out loud.
Totally. I could not agree with you more. Pretend it looks great and move on.
Correct. Oh my God, that photo's brilliant. I know it's out of focus. I know it's 3 stops underexposed, and I know the composition's bad, but such a great start. You look great.
Yeah.
Fix
Yeah.
it for the next shot. So that's part of that whole thing about, um, you know, uh, having confidence, pretending you're confident what you're doing,
Yeah.
faking it.
Yeah.
But so sometimes, I think one of my favorite kind of anecdotes about this kind of how long do you have with people, Martin Scorsese is notoriously famous for 5 minutes. That's what he gives you,
Really?
5 minutes. So we're shooting him for something, and we get, I mean, it was ridiculous. We basically get to the hotel, and it's like a junket thing, and we have a hotel room to set up in. And, the first people that comes out to meet us, I think, was his publicist. Marty will give you 5. I was like, that's all I need. 5's good. And then, his agent comes in and says, Marty's here. He's in hair and makeup. He'll give you 5 minutes. So, yeah. And then, I did, some other people came in, I think the publicist for the film. Marty's going to give you 5 minutes, okay?
You're like, yes, I know.
The waiter who's bringing the kind of some water for us, like, Marty's only going to give you 5. Anybody we see is Marty's going to give you 5.
Yeah.
So once again, had a very much a light that I was a kind of something I knew would work, or hoped would work for a man of that age. I knew which angle I wanted to shoot him at. And if all being well, I knew it was going to be okay. The photo gods aligned. He came in, he sat down. I took like 4 or 5 frames, and I saw my picture, and I knew I had it and it was working. And I shot for another couple of minutes. And then I put my camera down. I said, Mr. Scorsese, they said you're going to give me 5 minutes. I've used up 2. Any chance we could talk about your films for the last 2 minutes? And he laughed so loud, because you take as long as you want, Mark. So, if what I'm doing is making you uncomfortable or painful, you want to get out of there. If you're enjoying chatting with me and like my humor and are enjoying the conversation, and I take you out of this situation, and everybody behind's going, ooh, ah, because the photos are lovely, then you're probably going to be willing to sit there a lot longer than you would be if it was just, I nearly said a bad word, if it was painful.
Oh, that's fine.
So, hard outs are never hard outs,
Yeah. Well, and I feel like it's so similar to photographing just like typical non-celebrity clients. You've got to make them feel like they can trust you, make them comfortable. And it's like providing that service. Like, you made him laugh. You did your job and you made him laugh, and you gave him great service, even though he's got this whole team around him and everything. That still really is what it comes down to.
There's no difference.
Yeah.
I'm really glad you mentioned that, because we have been like a very celebrity kind of talking. But my approach to anyone is exactly the same.
Right.
I mean, and it has to be, because if you can't disrespect anyone, so you're certainly not going to disrespect anyone. But, celebrity comes in. If you start off with, oh, hi, Mr. Banderas, I loved your movie. Who's this guy?
Yeah.
He comes and goes, hey, Mr. Banderas, you are looking younger. How young you look today. What have you been doing? And it's the same as if you're doing anything like a corporate headshots, and somebody comes in who's really uncomfortable in front of the camera. It's like, hey, you look lovely. Why are you nervous? This is going to be so easy. It's the same. It doesn't matter who they are. They're still human beings. And at that minute, when anybody is sitting in front of the camera, it's just you and them.
Yeah.
And that's your opportunity and your time to make this connection and make it worthwhile. And it doesn't matter who it is.
Yeah.
Apart from my wife, who's really stroppy. Help taking photos.
Oh, I love it. So, I know there are a lot of photographers out there who really want to kind of get into this whole celebrity world. And I know you started a YouTube channel. Is that something that you teach about or talk about, and if not, what do you talk about on the YouTube channel? And then also so, and if you don't talk about that part, would you recommend for people to like want to get an agent, or,
No, this is the YouTube channel pretty much came about because my Instagram feed, I felt I was getting a lot of very genuine questions.
Yeah.
Obviously we were getting a lot of, what f-stop do you use?
Yeah.
What shutter speed do you use? Or what brand is that light
Mm-hmm.
head that don't that I understand are important to people, but it's hard to explain to somebody it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
But what
Yeah.
we're getting, what a lot of or what I was getting was a lot of questions that were like, "Wow, that's deep," or "That's I can't believe you're asking me that. That's such a good question." And being who I try to be, I would try and answer everybody.
Sure.
And it was beginning to be a little time consuming because I don't want to like half-ass an answer. You
Mm-hmm.
know, somebody says, "Wow,
Yep.
I love that. I love that picture of Bill Clinton. How did you get him to look like that?"
Yeah.
Oh, great. Well, so I have my cousin Jacob, who has been one of my closest. He's younger than me, but I love him. I've always loved him, and he has a really good business mind. And he's always like, "Hey, Mark, have you thought about doing this?" And I'm like, "Oh, have you, taking like the business side of things." And then I have a Alex who has been my assistant for maybe 8 years, and we have like the relationship where we don't have to talk. He can tell
Yeah.
by my look, and I can tell by his look.
Yeah.
So
It's the
it's
best.
a really fabulous, like we get it relationship, and we have very differing opinions on how things should be. So Jake pretty much came up with this idea. Why don't you teach? Why don't you and Alex teach? So we did some teaching, and we worked with the Leica Academy, which was brilliant. And these seminars are amazing. But then Jake was like, "You guys should do a YouTube channel." I don't want to be like, "Turn your camera on." And we're like, "No, no, no, it's not going to be that. It's going to be, how do you make a budget? You
Mm.
know, how do you manage your data?" Yeah, we've done some tutorials on how I light, but it's more about the business of photography.
Yeah.
Um, as you say, if you want an agent, what's good about an agent? What's bad about an agent? Taking 30% off your fee is bad about an agent. So
Right.
there were all these like hundreds of episode ideas that we had. We started like going crazy at it before COVID. We had like 3 or 4 iterations that never kind of worked out, but now we've got it together and we've launched, and it's called Complicated Things, and it's fun. It's very
Yeah.
genuine, and we're really trying to show people how the workings of photography and the business, and not just like turn your camera on, set it at f4. Doesn't matter. You can read that in the book.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
how to do a budget when nobody's showing you that.
Right.
So that's what it's all about.
That's awesome. So if
It's
people want to
fun.
learn more about like everything you just said, complicated things it's called.
Yeah, and there's much better teachers out there for what is f-stop. I you
Yeah.
know, I know what it is. Could I teach it? Difficulty. But what I can teach you is to look at a picture and see if it feels right, or why is this interesting? That I
Yeah.
can show you,
Mm-hmm.
or that's what I can try and show you. So
Yeah.
that's where Complicated Things came about. And it's been such fun and such a great pandemic time filler. And
Yeah. Yeah.
it's been wonderful. And we've got great kind of response for it. So I think we're going to keep going.
Awesome. I know it seems like during this whole pandemic thing, people have been creating things that they maybe would never have created before. It's been really
Absolutely.
interesting to see what people have done with their time. Yeah.
Yeah, I think, it's, I'm such a like a ER sometimes. I read posts or talking about, you know, "Oh, my creativity is so stifled." Like, and I'm thinking, I just want to get through this. I just want to live. I don't care about my creativity right now.
Right.
But then
Right.
you look at where they've been forced into, and the true, real creatives have really started, as you say, stuff that is just mind blowing because they've had this
Mm-hmm.
channeling. Unfortunately, I just went like everywhere. I couldn't focus it all at one thing.
Yeah.
So, um, but it's
Yeah.
good
Very
fun.
cool. Very cool. Well, I appreciate you spending this time with me. I know yeah,
Humbled.
you lots of great things going on for sure.
Well,
It's cool. I'm excited I got to chat with you.
well, good.
I'm pretty honored, that's for sure.
No, stop. Please, you see, that's
Yeah.
the kind of thing that makes me go, ugh.
I know. God, I'm
You,
sorry. It's
you
what
don't
are you
see
supposed
what,
to say to that? What do you thank you?
no,
Like, how do
you
you
don't see what,
respond? But it's
you don't
true.
see,
I had to put it in there just once.
you don't see what it's like when, I go home and I open the door and I go, hello, I'm home. And the dog bites me and the kid ignores me. And my wife is like, did you
I
get these
know.
groceries? It's just, there's nothing about it that is anything apart from normal. And I never will believe there is. And I'm humbled to be on the podcast. And I hope some of what I said is any use.
Oh, absolutely. A couple more questions for you. And one is, and you don't have to get too like if you don't want to talk to about gear or whatever, but what's one thing you cannot live without when you're doing a photo shoot?
A camera.
Well, yeah, obviously camera. Anything
Well,
else?
one thing I can't live without when I'm doing a photo shoot. Um, so I need a camera, obviously. I There's something about cameras that, yeah, a lot of cameras do the same thing. So then you got to bring in what I call the X factor. Like, how does it feel in my hands? How
Mm,
do I feel when I lift it up? So my Leica S system with the 120 millimeter lens, when I pick that out
120. Okay.
my bag, I just feel special. Um,
Yeah.
and that is, I could certainly do without it, but I do a lot better with it.
Yeah. Awesome. Okay, cool. Okay, what do you do when you are not working? How do you spend most of your time? I know you said you have a 6-year-old son and a dog that bites.
Yeah, I spend a lot of time with my 6-year-old, as much time as I possibly can. I know that I'm not going to have him as a kid that's
I
interested in me
know.
for much longer.
I know.
So I'm really, really trying to be there and be with him, and that's probably where most of my time goes. For sheer relaxation, I like to read and watch British TV dramas, British crime TV dramas like
Nice.
Inspector Morse or Inspector Lindley or Inspector Anyone, as long as it's from the BBC.
Cool. Awesome. Okay, this third question, and if you don't have something off the top of your head, it's totally fine, is what's an inspirational quote that you love?
I think my favorite is Cartier-Bresson's focus is a bourgeois concept,
Hmm. Okay, tell me
because
more. What does that mean exactly?
well, I think it kind of comes down to, and I think I could, it's some of my most favorite photos I've ever taken. You look at the eyes and you go, oh, missed focus there,
Hmm.
and it doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter.
So,
Yeah, yeah.
so and,
Yeah.
and I think it
Yeah.
goes down to, like, you look at a picture and you go, you missed the focus on the eyes, the nose is sharp or whatever. And I think Cartier-Bresson's answer was, who are you to tell me where focus should be on my picture? So this
Love
this
it.
kind of
Yep.
funny line that he came up with is like, focus is a bourgeois concept. I think is really funny.
Fantastic. I love that. Yeah, very cool. Okay, so the next question is, what would you say to people who are just starting out trying to become a photographer?
Number one, I would say incredible choice of career. It's the most satisfying career. Photography is a medium that is just the best medium ever, in my opinion. Number two, a very, very difficult career to
Mm,
do well in and make a living in. And if you're not passionate about being a photographer for the right reasons, then maybe rethink. But if you are and you get some breaks and things happen for you, best job in the world. You'll never
yeah,
work another day.
yeah. It's great advice and it's so true. So true. Very cool. Okay, one last thing. Is there like, do you have a favorite photo shoot ever that you've done?
Whew.
I kind of hate
You know what? I
I
like
kind of
that
hate the
question.
question because it's like
No,
when
no,
someone
I
asks me
like
my
it.
favorite country that I traveled to, I'm like, "Ugh, how do you even pick?" Anyway.
Why I actually like the question is because people often ask, "What's your favorite photograph you've ever taken?" And that is like, God. But asking me for experience of a
Mm.
photo shoot is much better, because I can actually say with utter confidence that spending 2 hours on set with Bill Murray
Oh,
was the
wow.
best experience ever. And if we had another hour, I could tell you the story.
Wow.
But for actual experience of, oh my God, I can't believe this is me, was Bill Murray. And then very much swiftly followed by being invited by Obama to, or being commissioned by Esquire to go to the White House to
Mm.
photograph President Barack Obama. Now, they're not my
Amazing.
two favorite photographs, but like, what's my best photo? What's my best experiences? These two.
Yeah. So cool.
I can't
And
believe I
Willie.
just. Willie, I mean, Willie was amazing as well.
If you told me Dolly Parton, I would have just died and gone to
I just
heaven.
photographed Willie Parton. But you see, but this is one thing, and I think it's really, important. I don't know how important it is, but the end of the day, you've been paid. You got this photo sitting 2D somewhere. You've spent the money on whatever you spend the money on. So what do you have? You got as I say, you got the photo. Okay, lots of photos out there. What you have is this kind of memory of the experience of what you did,
Yeah.
of what you said, and how they reacted. And that's
Yeah.
really what drives me forward. You got the photo. Look, sometimes the photo is great. Sometimes photo is fine. Sometimes photo is bad. But that doesn't matter. What you have is the
Yeah.
experience and the learning of spending some time with that person, whoever it was, whether it's like an essential worker right now, or whether it's Barack Obama.
Yeah.
That's what you should treasure. And if you do treasure it, I think that helps you in the future.
Yeah. Very wise words for sure.
I know, I don't
Yeah.
know, I don't recognize myself.
Yeah, right. No way. That's not the first time you've been told that. I can imagine that you're wise anyway. All right. One last thing. Where can people find you online other than your YouTube channel, Complicated Things? Mark Mann is your Instagram. Two N's.
Mark Mann Photo is my Instagram. I think Mark Mann Photo is my website. Mark Mann Photo is probably the best way. There's also, what's weird about Mark Mann Photo, there is a really exceptional fine art photographer whose work is conceptual and beautiful, and his name is also
Mm-hmm.
Mark Mann.
Okay.
And we're polar opposites, but his work's beautiful. So if you do come across him by mistake, have a look at his work. It's really gorgeous.
Yeah.
So,
Awesome. Cool. I
but I'm
will.
Mark Mann Photo. I think he's Mark Mann Photography more, and he's a wonderful artist.
Cool. Well, thank you again.
Thank you.
Hopefully we'll cross paths again at some point and I'll check out your YouTube channel. I'm
I very
excited.
much hope so. Come and see us in New York. What would be great if you would come and see us, and maybe we could do like a little video about what you guys do and about the education of photography. I think that would be a great complicated things thing.
Yeah, that'd be fun. Oh, and I feel like you and Sue could like talk for hours. I don't know if you know Sue at all, but I feel
I
like the
know
two of you
I
could have.
know of her, and I obviously know her work and her styles. A lot to learn
Yeah,
there.
yeah. Oh, that'd be fun. Hopefully once this pandemic is over, we can start doing more things like that. Be amazing.
Absolutely.
Yeah, cool. Well, I won't take any more of your time. Thank you so much.
Okay. I've just got a 3D print.